This is What's Wild in New Hampshire by wildlife biologist Eric Orp. I'm back at the New Hampshire Audubon McLean Center with Diane DeLuca in her pollinator garden. Diane, tell us about the New Hampshire Audubon's pollinator garden and why do you have such a thing and what's going on with our pollinators, and give us some information as to what we should be thinking about at our own on our own home yards and places like that.
So first I'll just say I work in this pollinator garden with a team. I'm very lucky to have a team of colleagues, but also a team of fantastic garden volunteers.
Volunteers, don't they make things work?
Unbelievable. Many of them are master gardeners, so they're very well versed in gardening. Wow. And we transformed this space. It's very early spring. If we're panning around here, we're still in early spring in the pollinator garden, but things are just starting. Our golden Alexander is just starting to bloom. I noticed some of the phlox is just starting to bloom. There are a couple of early blooming shrubs and trees in here, like the serviceberry, the spice bush is just starting to leaf
all native
out.
plants.
All native plants. So we transformed this space back in the fall of 2018, the spring of 2019. So this pollinator space is about three plus years old at this point. So it's a relatively new area. But if you were to come here in the summer, it is chock-a-block
It'd be a buzz.
full. It's a buzz too. But it's a pretty full pollinator garden at this point. And it wraps all the way around the building. And I should mention that at the Massapequa Center in Auburn, we also have pollinator gardens there.
Nice.
In amongst other types of gardens. They have vegetable gardens down there as well. And we are currently working on creating a 1-acre Pollinator Meadow out on the side of the building here. And if you were to see it now, some of it is covered with black plastic and black landscape fabric. So we're working on slowly developing that habitat out there.
Okay.
And why work on pollinators? So as many people know, many of our insect species have been in decline, some steeply in decline. We've lost a huge percentage of insect species across the world at this point. And pollinators are extremely important to everybody. Well,
that's who feeds us.
Exactly. As E.O. Wilson said back in 1987, it's the little things that run the world, and without them, we could not survive. So 1 out of 3 bites of every food that we eat has to be pollinated. And so it's really important to agriculture, but it's important to our natural ecosystems in general.
Nice.
Everything depends on pollinators and insects, really.
Now I see some signs here, and I think I saw that you give like classes or instructions on this. So tell us about that part.
In the McLean Center Pollinator Garden, we've been trying to do public outreach. So we do some field trip classes. I mean, the pandemic kind of changed things a little bit.
Right.
We used to gather people a little bit more readily. But in the last 2 years, we've been having regular pollinator webinars.
Okay.
So that people can view in their own homes online.
Okay.
And we have a series going on right now. It's the 3rd year in a row that we've actually done webinars.
Okay.
We started
and how do
a
people
couple
tune
of
into
weeks ago.
that?
So if you go to our New Hampshire Audubon website and go to events, you will see the listing of
New Hampshire NHA.org maybe? What's
New HampshireAudubon.org.
Okay.
That would be our website, and you can see the listing of events. So this year we will be having some in-person events as well, but we have online webinars going on.
Okay.
And they will be going on through June, and then we will pick up and have a couple more in the fall as well.
Nice.
And there's some great presenters, so it's definitely worth tuning in if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Cool.
And we will be having some in-person programs going on here. On June 12th, we'll have a native plant sale. So for people interested in participating in pollinator conservation in your own backyards. That's a chance to get native plants that are grown from seed here in New Hampshire.
Okay, great.
And that will take place on June 12th. And on June 25th, we're actually having a Bioblitz in our pollinator habitat, where we're gathering experts in different fields.
See who's here.
To lead field trips for people who are interested, and we're going to try to figure out what's actually in our pollinator gardens and our Pollinator Meadow habitat, who's visiting, what plants are here, and we'll be using the iNaturalist platform and taking photos of everything, and then they'll all be uploaded onto our iNaturalist project site, which is the New Hampshire Audubon McLean Center Pollinator Habitat. We actually have an iNaturalist project going on.
Awesome,
So,
great.
Yeah, so those are some of the things happening.
So here it is, May 2nd, 2022. What happens this week?
So we're just starting, and I neglected to say one other thing that's happening in the pollinator garden, which is really exciting. We're going to have monthly, family-friendly pollinator programs on Saturday mornings.
Okay.
So those are going to be...
Again, check out the website and they'll be listed.
You'll see those as well.
Nice.
And those will be in person. First time we're doing in person in a while. So we're excited about that. So it's May 2nd. So what's happening? We're just starting to get some of our first blooms. I already think I mentioned golden Alexander is just starting to bloom. You do see a few daffodils. They're kind of remnants from our old garden. They're still in here. The phlox look like it's starting to bloom. Some of the serviceberry, which is one of the earliest of the blooming trees, are coming out.
How about some of the birds? Who's coming back this week for birds?
So what's coming back this week? So we've had some movement in the last week or so, and that includes some of the earliest of the warblers. For instance, there have been some good groups of yellow rump warblers, which in some places have probably been around for a couple of weeks. They're one of the warblers that is not a long distance migrant per se. They tend to move south, but they can hang out fairly close to New Hampshire because they eat bayberry, which is found all along the coast. And if they have a food source, they can stay further north. But they're coming back, and the males are just spectacular in their breeding plumage at this point. A few other things are just starting to move in. So black and white warblers are just starting to move in. Common yellowthroat just starting to move in. Broadwing hawks just in the last couple of weeks, and they're starting to settle in on their territories. They have that loud whistle call that most people will hear if they're close by. I'm just trying to think what else is new.
I just think early May is warbler time.
Right. We're just at the beginning. Ovenbirds will probably be not far behind. Pine warblers are already in. They're one that has a melodic trill. Oftentimes they're kind of mixed up with the chipping sparrow, and the sparrows are back. A lot of the sparrows are back at this point.
Saw a chipping sparrow yesterday.
Regularly hear chipping sparrows in the garden. So that's just a few.
Well, that's all I wanted to know is what can we be expecting to hear and see. So awesome. So much happening here at New Hampshire Audubon. Lots to see and do and to participate in, thanks to the hard-working staff here at New Hampshire Audubon, like Diane DeLuca, who's been at it a while. Diane, thank you very much for all your hard work and your words this morning. We sure appreciate it. Thank you very much. This is wildlife biologist Eric Orr for What's Wild in New Hampshire.
Thanks, Eric. All right.
All right, there we go.